Bo, 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 bo.
Are you trying to blow out my speakers or what?
Yeah, that and I am celebrating because, well, we're finally here, folks. The final episode of our
Yes, the
first
final
year, our
episode!
first
Woo, we're
season.
finally done! I'm sorry, did you say first season?
Yeah, there's going to be a second. At the very least, there's going to be a second of Super Cast Brothers. Uh, des- Despite your sweet tears that I will place in a frosty mug, I would say we're in a better place with it than when we started, I think. And, when we had some trepidation on where this would go in the beginning, but now we're caught in a nice groove. We've already consigned ourselves to the purgatorial second season.
well,
And we're not planning.
I will
Yeah,
say that we're in a good place with this when we have 9 episodes in a row that go up on time.
we've already had three.
That's not 9.
It's divisible by
Doesn't
nine,
matter.
or nine is divisible by it.
Doesn't matter.
I know. Oh, yeah. The number nine holds a special place in my heart ever since 2012. So I this one's for you, Herman. So you're like, what?
Yep.
So our second season starts on September 12th. So we're really not planning on taking a break, but we are spending the next few weeks between recording this episode and the next to fine tune our plans for new features for the podcast in 2020.
Right.
So that's kind of exciting.
Like we discussed possibly like taking a month or two break in between seasons, but then we're just like, I mean, we could, but why? Considering these go up
Yeah,
once every 2 weeks anyways, it's not like we're having to pump out an episode every day. And
yeah,
like you calling them seasons is a bit of a misnomer. It's really just how we're defining the years that we've had episodes up. We started on August 31st, and this is the closest that we're going to get to August 31st with an episode. If you're listening to this when it went on air on the exact day it's supposed to, being August 29th, which, maybe not, maybe you're watching, maybe this is the year 2030, the apocalypse has happened, and you just somehow found this and it's the only thing getting you through your day, in which case I had to say, why? But hey, thanks for listening, I
thanks for
guess.
preserving our legacy,
It,
keeping us alive in your heart.
sure. I'm glad that the soothing sounds of my voice can make you feel less shit about your day. I guess.
that
I
that's
don't
that's
know
happened with me for many
where
years.
I was going with this or how we got on this. I actually forgot to start the timer until just now. But hey, we're like 3 minutes in. It's okay. What? What? I've lost the ball here. What are we doing? Where are
we're
we? I don't.
we're doing Super Cast Brothers, our
Ah,
final
shit.
episode of yeah.
I thought this was the Fromcast.
No, that's a tentative idea, but the name is copyrighted.
Oh, fuck. I guess we'll just bleep that out then.
No, by me. No,
What?
the name is copyrighted by me, so it's fine. I'm fine with talking a little bit about that too. It's a new podcast idea that I have for kind of a general talk show, but that's neither here nor there since this is the Supercast Brothers
Where we're always
and our
on
final
topic.
episode. Yeah, exactly. We are always on topic. This hasn't not been a year-long struggle versus our tangents on the likes of what now? Harry Potter,
Sorting math
um,
traps.
yeah, Chucky
Zerta.
Finster.
All the maybe we'll have new jokes for year two.
Maybe we will, or maybe these same old ones will also be a part of the party. Who really
Maybe
knows,
we'll
huh?
have no jokes and I can finally not cry myself to sleep.
Ah, but in year two, the jokes aren't just going to be audio, they're going to be visual as well. So
Uh,
there is that. So for our second year, starting on September 12th, we are planning on having audio presentation. We're going to capture ourselves and our
you said
screens
we're
when
planning on having
applicable.
audio presentation, dumbass.
Yep. On
It means video. We're gonna be able to see our ugly little
oh
faces and whatever props that we decide to bring out.
oh buddy, that's going to be a good one if our live Q&A we had a while ago on Twitch is anything to go by. Um
don't want to see
Yeah,
that
so
emo
that's
ever again.
don't even mention it. One of our so
Nope.
that's one of our new features is it's going to be audio visual. It's going to be audio on Spotify and Apple Music and all that stuff, of course, in the general podcast RSS world. But if you watch on YouTube, you will get to see our shining, beautiful, brilliant faces as well, and get to compliment us on our eyes and our lips and our figures. So it's going to be a good time. Um, Beyond that,
If
we
you could
also
see me,
have
you would see that
a
I'm giving you the side eye right now.
well, I will be able to see you one day, someday soon, actually,
In 2 weeks.
in 2 weeks, too, buddy. We also have a jingle coming along from our pal Kelly Jelly that is going to debut in year 2. So that will be fun as well. And as for other changes, I don't know. Hopefully, one of the changes is we go viral somehow and become famous. That would be good. Off of this podcast to clarify, because going viral and being famous isn't always good.
It's not.
So, but that's enough exhibition, basically. Our final episode of this first year, uh, bringing it all the way around, just about to the 31st when we started this whole thing, is the Tournament of Champions for Smasher Dash. And since I've been talking a lot, because I'm known for that, how about you take it away, listener, on what the Tournament of Champions is?
So, Tournament of Champions, obviously, this is a Smash or Dash episode. It's got to have something to do with Smash or Dash, right? But this isn't just us going over two pairs of two characters and being like, okay, which character do we want to see after we discuss their abilities, history, and whatever not. Because we figured, okay, we're doing this finale type thing for every season. We did our look back on Mercurius. We did our mystery submissions where neither of us had a clue what the other one was going to do.
Polar Bear and Trapper are up on the wiki, by the way.
Yes, they are. So that's pretty cool. You can just actually read completely what we've said in case you did not watch that episode. My submission of The Trapper from Dead by Daylight and Jonno's submission of The Polar Bear from Ice Climber. Which one of us came up with a weirder idea? I will let the viewers decide. Because I honestly don't know. I really don't. But anyways, Tournament of Champions, I had to try and figure out, okay, what can we do for a finale for Smash or Dash? And really only one thing came to mind. We Smash or Dash them again. And I don't mean,
buddy.
I don't mean going like, oh, Octoling versus Tom Nook. Let's discuss that again. Or, oh, Edelgard, Dimitri, and Claude. Let's discuss that again. No. I mean, we're going to take the winner of every matchup, put them in a tournament bracket, and hopefully relatively quickly go through all 16 previous Smash Dash winners to determine who is our Tournament of Champions. Who, out of all the first 8 episodes of Smash Dash, we want to see added into Smash the most. I don't know who's going to win. This is going to be pretty interesting. We considered at first saying, okay, we'll just have them go in order of how we did them in episodes. Which, if we did that, we would be like Octoling versus Mach Rider, and then Ganon versus Marshal, and Zero versus Toe. But honestly, that's kind of predictable and boring. And I kind of thought, well, if we do that, then in the future we might be like, ooh, that character won the first matchup of this episode. I'm going to try and make this other character win because I want that character to try and win the overall. And I didn't want to try and game the system like that. So instead, they've all been randomized. I did the randomizing of the bracket.
Zero versus Toad?
Do what?
You mean we don't get Zero versus Toad? I feel like that would be such a hard decision.
I mean,
Anyway, what?
We might. Let me fucking get to it. Jesus Christ. Shit,
Is Jesus
man.
a part of this?
Moving on. I was trying to say something before you unearthed me. I made the bracket weeks ago, several weeks ago, over a month ago, so I don't remember what all the matchups are. Actually, I don't think I remember what any of them are. And Jonno has not even seen it, so he does not know any of them, so this should be fun to see who actually got matched up against each other and how this whole thing is going to go. We're not going to go as super in-depth as we do on a regular Smash and Dash, because there's just not enough time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Smash Dashes already can sometimes take between 30 to 50 minutes for just one matchup. We don't have the time for that today. It's going to be a little bit lightning round, but we're still going to allow ourselves some time for discussion. It's not going to be like, oh, I vote for them. no, we gotta get into it a little bit, but we're not gonna go crazy. And in the interest of time, I don't think there's anything more that needs to be said in the intro. And unless you have anything more to say, I think we should just dive in with our first matchup.
If we spent 50 minutes on every character, we would have spent
50
uh
times 8, that's 400.
yep, we would have spent about 400 hours on this.
400
Good
minutes.
times.
400 minutes.
Oh, is it minutes?
Yes.
I planned on that. Yes. Yes. Still a long time. So,
It,
without further ado, let's get into the first matchup.
Alright, so the first matchup in our Tournament of Champions actually does feature Zero, but not against
Chucky.
Toad. It's Zero versus Mach Rider.
Oh, buddy.
Mm-hmm. Mach Rider, who you previously championed pretty hard in our first ever Smash or Dash episode. So to you, I will go. Do you have any opening thoughts about these two characters?
If there were going to be a second Mega Man character alongside classic Mega Man, obviously Zero feels like he fits the boot best in my personal opinion. So I'm glad
Absolutely.
that he's here to duke it out, because he really started this whole sub branch of Mega Man games, with the Zero series and with his inclusion in X, bringing kind of a more serious take on Mega Man, I think, in general, and all the different tools that he brings to his disposal, almost turning it into a Metroidvania style thing. I was always a fan of that, even though they're a little too hard sometimes. So it's so good. Kudos to him. We talked about him in that episode with Jamie, and he championed himself over Shadow ultimately. Both characters who had a lot of weapons up their sleeves, versus Mach Rider, who is more of a what you see is what you get. Uh, but because of the nature of this character being someone who works on off of a motorcycle and not wanting to take away that part of their identity, because I mean it's not Captain Falcon going around in the Blue Falcon. This is more doable. Um, it becomes interesting because in that very first episode that we did on September 28th of 2019, believe it or not, a long time ago now,
Oh yeah.
Mach Rider beat Balloon Fighter in hand-to-hand Mortal Kombat, essentially, only after a vote that I think Mach Rider won by 1 point over in a tiebreaker. So we had a tiebreaker on our very first episode. So I stumped for Mach Rider hard,
You did.
which I did not quite expect to getting into it, because it's like, okay, this is a character that is pretty limited. You have a bike that they can go on, but what else can they do? You have the Gatling guns on the front of the bike. But then we're like, hey, what's associated with the bike? Oh yeah, they can use a chain, kind of similar to the Belmonts. They could drop oil tankers and shoot them and catch them on fire. So that's kind of cool. He can have a little pistol when he's off of his bike. He can jump from his bike onto the ground. It's kind of like a stance change character where you have a full move set on the bike and a full move set off of the bike, which was very appealing to me. Uh, and then while on the bike, you just do bike things. You do whirly birds and hop off ramps and shoot the gunny guns that are there, and it's a good old time. So it's still more of a utilitarian character, I think, compared to Zero, who has an arsenal of weapons up his sleeve, and is more of an established character. Of course, as Mach Rider's pretty retro and only comes from one or two titles that are variants of each other. Uh, and I have an initial lean, but I feel like I've been rambling, so on to you.
Well, rambling is a thing that we are both known for doing, so that's
Yep.
really not surprised. But I also have a lead as well here. You covered a lot of Mach Rider there pretty much, and I don't really have much to add there other than I think a lot of the retro picks that are out there that people champion for. I think he's probably one of the hardest to conceptualize, both by fans and potentially even by Sakurai, just because of the nature of the bike. Like you can say, okay, yeah, sure, he could fight alt bike too, but you still have got to figure out the bike part of it. Zero, I mean, I'm a huge Mega Man fan. Have I played much of Classic or the X games? No, but I'm relatively familiar with them. I'm much more of a Battle Network kind of guy, and I would love to see some Battle Network content in this match. Of all the Mega Man music on Wily Castle, we've got Classic, we've got X music, we've got Zero music, we've got Star Force music. No Legends or Battle Network music. What the hell's that all about, Capcom? Seriously. I'm no, I know I'm on a tangent, but I'm pissy about that. I love me some Battle Network,
Yeah.
but I do 100% agree. If we ever get a second Mega Man character in Smash, assuming that classic Mega Man isn't just replaced with X Mega Man, which is possible, it's got to be Zero. It is. As much as I would love Battle Network Mega Man or Battle Network Proto Man or Battle Network Base, it's Zero, 100%.
Hmm.
The question is, who do we want between the two of them? Mach Rider, he's got his bike, Gatling gun, oil slicks, bike tricks, whatever. Zero's got his sword, he's got a buster, he's got a shield, lance, axe, all kinds of crazy elemental attacks as well. He can have beams of energy fall down from the sky. And he's a robot. And, robots, as long as they're not trying to kill you, are pretty damn cool. That's just true.
Yeah.
Between the two of them, I definitely have a lean here. And something that I'm going to mention before we get into ours is, unlike previous Smash and S episodes where if we tie, we just put it to the audience, we can't do that here. Now, when we
No.
get to the finals, if we tie on the finals, theoretically we could put that one to the audience. But every single battle until that point, if we disagree, we have to hash it out and find a winner, hopefully relatively quickly. And I have a bad feeling about just this whole thing in general. Not necessarily specific matchups, but we're going to tie at some point. We're going to.
Yeah, we are. We are.
So, are you ready to declare your vote?
I am.
All right. Well, who are you picking between these two?
Okay, I pick Mach Rider.
I pick Zero. I knew it. I knew this was going to happen. I knew. All right. All right. I don't know how we're going to get through this. Let's figure this out. Zero or Mach Rider. Okay, so let's go into the whys. Why would you rather see Mach Rider in Smash than Zero?
Okay, okay. I just love how this happened in the first round. I had a feeling it would after you went on that tangent about how we would hit a tie, so I'm just tickled. Uh, I would rather have Mach Rider. That was an interesting Freudian slip. I'd rather have Mach Rider in over Zero because point A, Mach Rider represents more wholly a series that has not been represented in Smash yet. Point B, after the Grinch leak, my hype for Mach Rider just became intense because of that. Point three is having a character that works off of a bike like that. Uh, it may be hard to initially figure out. I'll try and make a Smashtopia of it someday, and I could commit to that too. I just don't know when. But it's a character who is unique in that sense, where there's not very many bikers you can plausibly include. You can go the Excite biker route, but that would arguably just be Mach Rider with less at their disposal because it would just be a bicyclist as opposed to someone with, skills as a bounty hunter as well. And then there is the Paperboy from Paperboy. So yeah, yeah, or Uniracer, which actually would be kind of interesting.
You could also kind
So
of argue F type in there a little bit. He's not a biker, but it is still a vehicle.
that's also true. That's also true. Although I'm kind of banking on this whole idea of this is a bounty hunter on a bike, so the bike is kind of tertiary to it, but it's also part of their identity. So they come off the bike to fight, they go on the bike to fight. So there's essentially two movesets in one, and that's the idea that I made me enchanted by Mach Rider versus Balloon Fighter. All right, I guess why would you rather have Zero over Mach Rider?
So I'm ignoring here my typical thought process of I don't want to see a third party franchise get more than two characters because I'd rather
Mm-hmm.
see more series be added. But for the purposes of these, I'm trying to ignore that whole thing. And I really like the Mega Man franchise. I love what it's got in there. Zero is an amazing character. Mach Rider is technically, I mean, he kind of. This is the problem with being a character that only has one game on the NES or sometimes SNES depending on the retro character you're talking about, is there's just not much to them beyond, hey, it's a dude on a bike and you gotta make up a bunch of nonsense, which sometimes works. But typically, I'm more attracted to actual characters than that. And even though Zero is another swordsman and he's another Mega Man character, I feel more interested in seeing the character of Zero be in than the identity of Mach Rider being in a dude on a bike. Yeah, he can do different things besides just ride his bike and shoot a gun, but Zero is just where more my interest is. Because I think, because when I'm thinking about more just like not only what they're from and who they are as a character, but what they can bring in Smash 2, and Zero just has more in terms of who he is as a character. You say, oh, Mach Rider could represent a series that's not in Smash. Mach Rider is one game. One game is not a series. By that argument, you could say E.T. for the Atari deserves to be in Smash because its franchise isn't in there yet.
Can we have ET?
No E.T.
Oh.
But that's pretty much my thought process between Zero and Mach Rider.
Yeah, the identity is a good point. Mach Rider is, you're talking about different move setup potentials and everything like that. It's more of a character idea. It's more of the, because pretty much a lot of characters from games back then were just avatars for you, the player, basically to operate through, and didn't have a personality or much of a backstory.
Right. Some
And
games
that's,
had a small backstory for the character, but it was generally just like a very short paragraph of information that would either scroll by on the screen or be in the instructional booklet, which
yeah,
not everybody read the instructional booklets.
right. Yeah, well, let's see here. Hey, I'm pretty sure that Mach Rider came out on the NES and the arcade, so there's two Mach Rider
That's
games in
it's
that
still
series.
no. If a game that's a port, dude, that's a port. If you want to say that, then that means Dragonborn has been like in 100 games because Skyrim is on every system in existence.
Yeah,
No,
yeah. Okay. Our versus Mach Rider too.
that's
Anyway,
the versus Nintendo games that they came out with. It's the same game. There's no distinction there.
yeah, yeah. Sometimes there's distinction, like the whole arcade presentation of Punch Out and the wireframe Mac and the different, uh, occasionally different fighters that you would be battling. But in terms of Mach Rider, it's not really there. Zero is definitely a character with more pedigree. Comes from several different games in the series. Has an established plot line. So definitely much more appealing from that sense. Uh, yeah, there is your usual rule of, oh yeah, more than one rep per franchise or whatever. We get that halfway with the Echoes and Ultimate already anyway, so I'm not as concerned about that. But yeah, you know what? It's the first round. We might be throwing the gauntlet harder with other matchups later on, so I'm not necessarily staunchest about Mach Rider out of all these things. I'll just say let's go Zero.
Honestly, I'm surprised. I thought you were going to double down there.
No, no,
Well, all right then. I guess you just wanted to see a tie happen right away, didn't you? You wanted
no,
to see what I
no,
came up with to
no.
try and break it. I see
No,
you.
I
I
was
see you.
just I was just interested in Mach Rider.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, there we have it. Zero beats Mach Rider in round one, which means we can go on to our second matchup, and this one might hurt you a little bit.
Really.
It's Ganon versus Marshall. Marshall, of
Nice.
course, being from Rhythm Heaven, and Ganon being the more bestial, pig-like form of Ganondorf. The design of which we discussed before would be more based off of his original Link to the Past, or not original Link to the Past, original Legend of Zelda and his Link to the Past appearances, with a big burly blue fur on his gigantic arms and the skull-looking trident, which I've always
Yeah,
thought was cool looking.
I concur. And Marshall, of course, being from Rhythm Heaven, and the so this is all randomized. It's funny that they ended up being the matchup,
Yeah,
because had this not been randomized, they would also still be the matchup.
yeah.
So because
I
they were
put
in the
this in a
same episode.
randomizer. I put the whole list of characters in a randomizer and clicked the button 10 times and like, all right, this is it. And then I put it in challenge.org and had it, or challenge.com rather, and had it actually do like seeding and not just go by the list. So I still didn't even know what the order was going to be.
Nice, nice. So you kept it as much of a surprise to yourself
Yeah.
as you could. Nice. Okay, well, nonetheless, Ganon won versus Tetra in our November 9th episode of Smash or Dash, and Marshall beat Ribbon Girl. So here we are with those two. They're kind of ran parallel as birds of a feather. Now they really are against one another. So for starters, I elucidated my thoughts first last round. How about you go and give us a little head dive first?
Sure. So Ganon, as mentioned, he's the bestial form of Ganondorf. He was actually the first form of Ganondorf that we ever saw in the Legend of Zelda franchise, only seeing Ganondorf himself in Ocarina of Time for the first time. Ganon in Smash, you could have him transform into and from Ganondorf. I think that's probably the way I would do it. That's actually how we do have it on the Smashtopia wiki as of right now. So go check that out
Mhm.
if you would like. We worked on that submission together years ago at this point. Before
Yep.
Ultimate, that is. He can throw fire keys around, use his trident. I don't remember all the attacks we gave him, but those were two of the big ones that we've had thought up with. Meanwhile, Marshall, he's Rhythm Heaven. You know, it's a rhythm mini games. He's not really much of a character in his own right. All those characters are kind of like I'd say the more like archetypes. Like you have the wrestler and the karate dude and the singing trio. Yes, I know Rhythm Heaven fans. That's not their names. Don't kill me. I know their names. I'm just trying to go through the shit. Back off. Jonno will kill me first, anyways. Marshall, I figure if he's in Smash, he's probably going to be taking a lot of cues from the various mini games because he can kind of be like a hodgepodge character of all of that instead of just having somebody be a wrestler and reporter where they just do wrestling stuff, or Karate Joe who just do karate stuff, or chorus kids who just do singing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Concrete Angel by Martina McBride.
sure, whoever that is. Between the two of them, they can both get in for like very different reasons. There's no Rhythm Heaven yet represented in Smash. There was rumors we're going to get one in Smash 4, and with the Sneaky Spirit enemy, which in Smash Run, which is the only Nintendo franchise to get an enemy in Smash Run that did not have a playable character, which is, or a stage possibly, which is incredibly interesting. Especially since I
Hmm.
don't think you would need Sneaky Spirit. You could have put in Diglett in that same kind of functionality. So
Yeah.
weird there. I'm not really sure what he could do beyond just doing like regular hodgepodge of mini games. At some point, I intended to do some research on it, but it's not now. Ganon. I mean, you could argue, hey, we don't need another Zelda. We don't need another Ganondorf. It was like, but we do need another Zelda rep. Come on.
Yeah.
Does it need to be another Ganondorf when we have two Zeldas and three Links? No. I mean, I wouldn't mind getting a more unique character like Skull Kid, but Ganon would still be huge for the Zelda franchise. He'd be fighting in a different way. Give Ganondorf even some more utility that he can do things with, and he'd just be really awesome. Actually, both of these characters I would love to see, but we can only win one for right now.
Hmm. Yeah. So the appeal for me with Marshall, I've been going through kind of the gamut of Rhythm Heaven characters over the years, trying to figure out what would fit in best. Because going through Nintendo's franchise list, we've worked through most of the legacy icon characters at this point, but Rhythm Heaven is a more active modern franchise that's kind of, second or third tier compared to, Mario, Donkey Kong, Zelda, whatever. But it still has its place, and it was a very key player in DS era, Wii era stuff for Nintendo. So there's certainly still a demand for it. And Marshall is one of the characters that has kind of that the fan base has kind of coalesced around because, as you said, rhythm, the reporter and wrestler, very specific from one micro game. What are you gonna do with it? It's more stationary. There's only one direction you could particularly go with that character. Karate Joe, same idea. There's a little bit more. There's some more liberty you can take there, given that Karate Joe's a more ubiquitous character. Rhythm Girl, same idea. But Marshall, even though he appeared first in like the third game in the series, I think, kind of maintains that standard for the series as its representative at this point. He appears in all the box art since and is just kind of a prime character. He kind of looks like a grown-up chorus kid, and it would be easier to implement than chorus kids, I think, being a solo character, while also being able to take some of what they would bring to the table. Like a standard special could easily be that chorus kid micro game where they're releasing musical blast from their mouth. They're screaming
Yeah,
out basically, and I don't know, just spitballing really quickly. That could be charge and go out further, of course, and then maybe you can, depending on the charge or depending on the directional output or whatever, you change the tone of Marshal's voice. That would be interesting. Nightwalk, very common, very iconic rhythm game in Rhythm Heaven, where Marshall's walking along a street and there's balloons and you just kind of walk to the beat. That could be an interesting final smash. Uh, spitballing, trampoline for an up special. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways to go. There's a lot of different mini games from Rhythm Heaven, and kind of being in the spot where you're like, here's this character, and they represent an entire franchise of games, rhythm set mini games similar to WarioWare, but Rhythm Heaven. That's pretty interesting. And Marshall is also a character who's often represented in the 2D style. So the idea of maybe having him be a 2D character like Game & Watch is interesting to me. Even if it doesn't happen, that's just something on the table. Ganon, meanwhile, is a legacy character. While there are a lot of different Zelda characters to choose between, Skull Kid, Midna, Tetra, Impa, even something more offbeat like Marin would be cool to me, using the different musical items from Link's Awakening. Ganon, I mean, you have two Zeldas, you have three Links, sure, and then doesn't Ganondorf seem a little bit lonely because of that? Um, and
Fair point.
all this exposition about wanting Ganondorf to be more unique, since he started out as a Falcon clone and is basically still in that area.
Wanting Ganondorf to be
Um,
Ganondorf.
exactly. And while Ganon him alone doesn't fully accomplish that, you're giving us another side to that character that is undeniably unique, with fire keys, with a horde of moblins for their final smash, with the trident as the main weapon that Ganon uses. You could summon down lightning that you can throw like a boomerang kind of. It and is just kind of this long ranged weapon that validates a heavy character and might actually make him a little bit competitively viable. It's an interesting character to think about, and the cool factor is really there with Ganon in a way that I think pales in comparison. You know, very few characters match the cool factor that Ganon exudes, and so being like, hey, Ganon being in Smash is like, oh, that would be cool.
Yeah, it would.
So, this is painful.
It
This
really
is
is.
painful.
Like, I would love to see either of these characters get into Smash.
Hmm.
Like,
Absolutely.
honestly, most of the characters that we're going to be discussing tonight, I would be totally down to see. But,
Yeah.
we ain't going to get it.
Yeah. No, we aren't. With that said, I am ready for my vote if you are.
I, I was flip flopping back and forth as you were going through your discussions on them, but I have mine as well.
Okay. Would you like to share your vote first?
Sure, I'm actually going to go with Marshall here. Uh,
So
uh,
am I.
okay, well there we go. Like I was really debating Ganon. Like I would love to see Ganon, but when I'm thinking about two of them, yes, it'd be cool to see the pig Ganon form being smashed, get Zelda another rep. But when I'm looking character versus character here, Marshall and the idea of having a character that can actually fight based off of rhythm somehow is a very interesting idea. I don't know how it would work. Maybe someday we'll discuss it. But
Yeah. Like
uh,
that.
I think it'd be very, very cool.
Agreed. Agreed. So, yeah, that was painful, but it it's a very vibrant series from Nintendo that is not yet properly represented, and I would like to see it
Yeah.
given more
Uh,
respect in Smash.
Rhythm Heaven honestly needs another new game. Like it's been a while since the last one.
I concur, and it's such an accessible franchise. It's kind of surprising. WarioWare 2 hasn't had much in a while, just
Mm.
except for that anthology game.
Yeah, they had an anthology game. I thought that was Mario Party.
It was both WarioWare Gold.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about Gold. I was thinking of DIY, which
Hmm.
wow, DIY.
Not
That's
great. The
not
idea
great.
was great, but it wasn't great in execution.
No, especially since it was only available to people who had the DSi. Like, come on, unless I'm wrong about that.
DSi was worse than DS Lite.
Yeah, like I see what you're going with it, but they kind of went through some weird shit at the end of the 3DS's life cycle.
Yeah.
Like, let's pick out 6 new versions of the 3DS over the next 4 years. Like, why?
I'm not doing it.
Okay. Yeah.
I
Anyways,
got an XL at one point and never again. Anyway, what?
anyways, moving on to our third matchup here. This is going to be an interesting one. Spider-Man versus Octoling.
Yeah, they both feel like they could come from the same world in a sense.
Yeah, I feel like we're kind of like alternating who starts off with everything. So let's go ahead and have you start off with your base thoughts on Spider-Man and Octoling. Have fun.
So Octoling, the mass appeal of this character, I think, is the idea they can easily be an echo, of course, of Inkling, but the idea of them representing different weapons from Splatoon in their moveset. So you have this very fresh franchise that has made a very big splash, and you have a character who, with their presence, gives far more of a representation of the overall series than the singular Inkling could, even though Inkling could stand on its own as the individual franchise representative of Splatoon forever. Octolings have really grown to stand side by side with them, especially after that massive story update in Splatoon 2.
Yeah.
So I definitely see them, and I think it would be a good pick. And I think by the time Smash 6 comes around, it feels like an inevitable pick, much like in the same way that Inklings felt inevitable for Ultimate. Just in my opinion anyway. No, whatever form they show up in, whether an Echo or not, who knows. Um, as for Spider-Man, well, it's funny to see him entering the larger world of these matchups now because that fourth party round of Goku and Spider-Man, where Spider-Man ended up victorious, pretty much out of just our own interest, as it always goes with these things. Uh, Now he's a fourth party fighting against just legit video game characters. So that's kind of funny. So this is Peter Parker Spider-Man. I'm taking it that we're assuming liberties from Insomniac Spider-Man game, and it gives him a medley of different web-based attacks. He's generally an acrobat that has webs that he's chemically designed at his disposal. So that's that character. You and I know him well, and of course he'll be swinging around the stage. There's no getting around that. That picturing that in my mind is a certain pleasure that I can't deny. So it is interesting. What are your thoughts?
So here's how I'm looking at the two of these. We have a character in the Octoling where, in their Smash Bros. Episode, we were deciding between potential echoes. That's what we were doing in that
Yeah.
episode, because we had Octoling versus Tom Nook. We're like, okay, Octoling could be an echo of the Inkling. Tom Nook could be echo cross
Tom Nook
between
could be an
Villager.
Octoling.
Yes. Tom Nook could be an echo cross between Villager and Isabelle, kind of like how Crom is a cross between Marth and Roy.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, we have Spider-Man, who's a fourth-party character and is not a video game character. So on one
Mm-hmm.
level, it's just like, oh, we'll just vote Octoling because Spider-Man's not a video game character. But much like how I previously mentioned with Zero in my personal third-party role, I'm kind of ignoring the fourth-party thing in terms of tournament of champions. Does that mean I'm going to be voting for Spider-Man all the time, or even the first matchup? Don't know. We'll see. But just to keep things interesting, I'm just going to ignore his origins. So I'm looking at a character.
Mm-hmm.
We have Octoling, who could easily be an echo of Inkling, or they could go just use the same general idea, but different weapons. So Inkling uses the Splat Roller, maybe the Octoling uses the Octo Brush. Instead of the Ink
Mm-hmm.
Shot, it could be. I mean, there's the Octo Shot, but I feel like that's probably what they would do. I feel like their standard is probably going to be the same because
Mm-hmm.
that just feels right. They could do the Sniper, I guess, but like they can use different weapons. Even if some of their specials are the same, like all their regular attacks, they can use different weapons for that. Instead of the Slosher, maybe the Octoling brings out a mini Splatling. That would be
Yeah.
fucking fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's honestly hard to look at Splatoon and think, okay, how can more than one character come from this game? Because really, the Inkling represents the whole franchise cleanly. Now, as they get more games,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a little bit harder to say because there'll be more weapons. But if I were to think of characters beyond Inkling that could somehow represent different parts, obviously Octoling comes to mind, then Sheldon, and then Callie Marie, maybe Captain Cuttlefish. But it's really hard to pick out one to make them actually work differently. Spider Man,
Yeah.
meanwhile, he's all about swinging around acrobatics, clogging things up as his webbing. He would fight. Honestly, I don't know if there's a character in Smash that would be similar to him at this point in time. Maybe Sheik, I guess. That's probably the closest I could think of. Sheik or Zero Suit Samus. But beyond
Yeah.
that, he's very unique in his own right. He's an incredibly popular character. One of the all time favorite characters in Marvel Comics. Period. You got your
Yeah.
Avengers, you got your X Men, but then you got Spider Man.
Yeah. Certainly Stan Lee's favorite.
Yeah, for good reason. I mean, he's an amazing character.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So.
Do you have your vote?
This is unique. Of course I do. Of
Oh yeah,
course
I do too.
Yeah, he's gonna swing on over to the next round, isn't he?
Are you voting for Spider Man?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, guess what that means.
What does it mean?
He's in round two because I'm also voting for Spider Man. Made you
Okay.
think. But yeah, I mean, at first I was kind of thinking, okay, it's Octoling, like I said in the beginning, but I didn't want it to just be boring like that. So I feel like when it comes to just purely the character, Spider-Man would be a lot more interesting to see be added. Just assuming he's a video game character, he would be a lot more interesting than Octoling.
I concur because when you bring it down to the nitty gritty of the character and what they can bring to Smash, Spider-Man brings an entire different world with him. The stage would be unique. The move set is obviously quite unique for Smash. So in that categorization, it's a no-brainer. So
Absolutely.
I am, yeah, cool. That was an interesting matchup.
Yep. Now let's get to matchup number 4. Midna from The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess versus Takamaru of the mysterious
Oh,
Murasame
Jesus.
Castle. So we have another Zelda choice, and a popular one at that, versus a popular retro character who has been getting passed over since Brawl.
To my chagrin.
Takamaru, we've got a samurai. He's technically a samurai in training, really, going by the story of that game. He's got his traditional. He's got a katana blade. He has whirling blades that he can throw. Shurikens, I think, probably. I don't remember exactly everything he has because I never played the game. I kind of wanted to look into research of it, but again, similar to Marshall, I just haven't gotten to it yet. But he's a very popular retro choice. There's a lot of sword fighters in Smash. There's no samurai-like fighters. We could have had Lyn. But we don't. Or even Samurai Goro, who would be more of a wild bull fighter. But then we also have Midna, who, again, is an incredibly popular choice from the Zelda franchise. You could have her either fighting on her own or riding on top of a Twilight Wolf, much like how she does in Hyrule Warrior, since she doesn't ride Wolf Link in that game. I'm not really sure what the decision was there, but whatever, it doesn't matter to me. She can teleport, she can do Twilight magic-ish stuff, grab things with her hair and throw them around, command her wolf to lunge and bite at people's necks. Maybe a little bit violent,
just like Rick.
But, I mean, hey. I don't know who Rick is, but okay. Unless you mean Kirby Rick. But, I don't know. I don't want to see a hamster biting people's necks. I don't.
Yeah.
I do not.
Okay. So my turn?
Yeah. Go for it.
Okay. Yeah, Midna is one of those characters. If I were choosing a Zelda character to be playable in Smash, say this was pre-Grinch Link before, and pre-Sakurai just kind of teasing us too with the whole
when Ultimate
pre-release
got
with. Yeah, and you know what I was gonna say with like the Moon Assist Trophy and goading us on for months about Skull Kid, because after that Skull Kid came head and shoulders above for the community overall for the Zelda choices. Before then, it was just kind of this nebulous turf where Skull Kid, Ganon, Impa, Midna, sometimes Tingle for the occasional drunk person, were coming in, and they were all fairly evenly matched. And between all of those characters, Midna is one of the most intriguing to me. Where you're right, she jumps on a Twilight Wolf or Wolflink, whatever. You have this character who is bipedal, and I'm operating from this just because I think it would be I personally think it would be more interesting for her to ride on a wolf. Um, and there's certain attacks that you can only engage in with Wolflink and Midna in Twilight Princess that I think would easily be translated to Smash. Like you are holding down the special attack button and moving to and fro kind of slowly, and then a Twilight circle encapsulates a certain area around the wolf. And then whoever's caught in the circle, the wolf will jut towards them in the order that they ended up in the circle. Yeah, they can bite the next two. That would be interesting. That could be a side special. That could be a side dash, whatever. Um,
Side
and then
dash?
Minda,
What
of
the hell is
course.
that? You get a dash attack?
Yeah, yeah, that's what I meant. Midna also has that. Her hairpiece is actually uh, kind of spoilery, so I'm not going to get into that too much. But basically, her hair has the ability to extend beyond into supernatural limits, which is where her assist trophy comes in. Definitely use that for grabs. Use it for an up special, that sort of thing. So there's certainly a lot to take into play there. Takamaru, interesting choice for a retro. Certainly up there in the echelons. He's up there with Balloon Fighter, more recently Mach Rider, as one of those characters that are constantly brought up. And I think between those three, Takamaru probably has the largest fan base. He's been talked about the most since Brawl when he was kind of first teased about. And then Nintendo had this weird thing. They released a Mysterious Murasame Castle on the 3DS, the first English release on the Virtual Console. They had Takamaru have a feature in Nintendo Land. So there were certainly moves to try and bring him back into the public eye that did not culminate in a Super Smash Brothers appearance ultimately beyond that assist trophy.
He was
And it
also
was
in
kind of actually, yeah, Captain Rainbow too.
Captain Rainbow,
That's very
and
true.
his game was pretty much put inside of Samurai Warriors 3.
You're right. You're right. I forgot about the Samurai Warriors crossover. So it's interesting to see that there was this marketing push, obviously from Nintendo in different corners, that brought up fan interest and then just kind of dissipated. Um, and you're right. He does have the windmill blades, and he has willow wisps and clay bombs. In his game, there's shogi, which is kind of like a Japanese domino to speed things up and go past the whole board game explanation. And the more that he collects, basically, the more powerful those projectile attacks are. Being a samurai as well, this is an idea that I had after playing Ghost of Tsushima. We've been talking about characters who can stance change. Uh, Characters like Heihachi or Urshifu or Yoshimitsu or Nightmare. Uh, Samurai often stance change themselves in their combat. So who's to say that you can't renovate Takamaru into a modern frame by having different poses? Like I got this idea from playing Ghost of Tsushima, where there's 4 different stances, at least a few of which are very realistic samurai poses, and the way that Takamaru holds his sword affects the way that his moves play out, at least his standards. And that's how you can insert more general punches and kicks, and just different ways to use a sword. It can dispel the idea that being a blue-haired swordsman means that you are relegated to being a pretty typical swordsman. So it's at least something maybe to think about as an extra skill or a down special, whatever. Um, so it's interesting. And both characters I am partial towards. So again, another difficult matchup. But again, trying to keep things speedy enough, I do have a lean on this one. I would imagine that you might as well.
I do as well. Again, I think both
Sweet.
would be great. I'd love to have them both, but I can only say one name. And at this point in time, that name is Midna.
Really?
Yep.
Nice. Because for me, it's Takamaru.
Shit. All right, here we go. Once again, let's try and quickly get through this. Okay, so the reason I
Okay.
went Midna over Takamaru, largely it's the wolf factor. Having
Hmm.
another quadruped fighter would be fucking awesome. And Midna herself isn't going to be fighting in the typical way. She's not going to be using your typical punch kick combo attack. Even if she wasn't riding on wolf, she's going to be using her hair for some of that, because making it look like fists. So yes, sure, you could call it a punch, whatever, but that's still going to be coming at it from a different way. Her moves, her attacks, going to be just not your typical standard there. It also brings us a new Zelda rep. Just a, I, I'm harping in on a fighter that's going to be fighting in a completely different style that nobody else can even dream of being at this point in time. Sure, later on you could add somebody like Zoroark, who's going to be another wolfy kind of fighter that could be quadruped, or Lycanroc would be an even better example than that. But Midna having the
Yep.
wolf, but also having be a mounted unit, which is something I know you're heavily interested in, with Sigurd from Fire Emblem being a horsebound unit. Personally, I tend to think I know I've expressed my own doubts about that, but having a smaller fighter on a wolf, I could see that happening a lot easier than a full horse, where the horse can't do anything, but the wolf can. So having that kind of duality between it would be pretty damn cool. Takamaru again would also be awesome as well. I like the idea of at first when you were talking about a stance change, I kind of like a grimace on face. Is like, oh god, I don't want it to be like where we have to make multiple sets of special moves for this one dude. But then I was like, oh wait, before you brought it up, I was like, yeah, actually, you know what you could do is just have the stance change completely affect their normal attacks, or maybe some of their smashes, and the special could all be the same. That would be an interesting way to do it. And then you mentioned, it, I was like, oh hey, nice. And I think that'd be really cool, whether that's for Takamaru or whoever the character is in Ghost of Tsushima, or some other samurai fighter that we might eventually
Yeah.
get in, be it Lin or Ryoma or Samurai Goro or who the hell ever else exists in video
Hmm.
games. But Takamaru, I think again a lot of it is coming down to the characters to me, and less so them in Smash. Like I mentioned with Zero and Mach Rider, Midna,
Hmm.
she is she's a snarky little shit.
Hmm.
I fucking love it. I do. Takamaru,
Hmm.
I don't know him as well, character wise,
Yeah.
so I can't really
Yeah.
speak much to who he is as a character, other than I know, oh, he's a good dude who kills aliens and saves the people. Cool, but not sneaky little imp cool
Yeah.
on a
Yeah.
wolf.
Midna is, I think, one of the best characters written into the Zelda franchise. Just in terms of narrative and in terms of how they present her, and the way that she interacts with Link in particular, makes for the best avatar. I mean, not avatar.
The
What
best
am I looking
Navi.
for? Navigational. Yeah, Yeah, like a Navi. The best Navi-like character by far, hands down. And certainly made Twilight Princess what it was. I mean, it's kind of in the title, isn't it?
Yeah,
So,
she is the Twilight Princess. Spoilers.
whoops. Yeah. So, yeah, again, undeniably a very, very cool character presentation, and you are correct that it is easy to have a mounted unit in that sense compared to other characters that would bring bigger animals or whatever into play.
Pac-Man riding Mokuko.
Midna and riding Mook. Yeah, that'll be the new Pac-Man presentation in Smash Brothers 6 or whatever we're gonna label it. Yeah, so and again, you're right with Takamaru being less of a established character because again, it's coming from a singular game pretty much, despite there being other variations. Him appearing as a guest in Samurai Warriors doesn't really add a whole lot to his character. It just increases gameplay possibilities essentially. Which is why I'm coming at it from a gameplay standpoint. I think that for me, it's in the vindication of saying, hey, this is something that was very mishandled with Fire Emblem. Hey, here's a character who's a sword fighter, but you don't have to have them play like four other characters that are in the game. You can have them be very, very different,
Mm-hmm.
essentially, because they have Marth copying off of this kind of faux fencing style, and then they have Lucina, Roy, Crom. It's like give me a break, brother
Seriously.
bear. So Takamaru could give blue-haired swordsman a good name. while also representing samurai in the stance change idea that we had potentially if we go that route, or even just in what we already have from that singular game with the will-o-wisps, with the windmills and everything else. It's very integral part of Japanese culture and Japanese media that hasn't really been fully explored as an archetype in Smash Brothers. So I think the appeal for me here from Takamaru compared to Midna is more that you are exploring this widely, um, popular archetype for a character that somehow hasn't made it into Smash, and you have the opportunity to, because Takamaru is more of a blank slate, to use artistic liberty to make an interesting moveset. And also just the appeal of having a stage based on Murasame Castle and having that feudal Japan, probably cartoonish locale, is interesting to me as well. So I think that you can get some cool stuff from out of the franchise representation in Smash as well. Although that isn't to say that Midna doesn't bring a different kind of moveset to the table as well, since again it's a bipedal mount, so that's definitely unique as well, and something that isn't going to necessarily be explored by other characters either. And I guess you could make the argument that, as you said, other characters like Lin or Jin from Ghost of Tsushima, for instance, could take on stance changes and other things, even though they wouldn't necessarily have all of Takamaru's tools at their disposal. So it's difficult to come to an easy conclusion when we can't just tie a break.
Yeah, seriously.
Especially when the characters are relatively evenly grounded, for the most part. And I will give Minda this: it's a wolf, and that's one step closer to my dream of Amaterasu.
I thought you were gonna say Epona.
No, but that too.
God.
That too. Oh man. Oh man. Interesting. And I'm taking it that this is not something that we're going to come back to. We need to make this decision basically now.
Yeah.
Freak. I just sent you a little representation of the stage backdrop potentially
Okay. I don't
over
know
Discord.
why, but okay.
I don't know, just because it was part of my ramblings. So yeah, there's that, and then of course there's so many interesting locales in
Okay. You stop going on tangent. We need a vote. We need a vote.
Okay.
We don't have time to fuck around.
Okay, are we gonna?
This is still matchup number 4.
I know
15.
we're only halfway through the first. Yeah. Okay, so count of 3.
Sure. 1,
1, 2,
2,
3.
3. Midna.
Takamaru. Man, difficult.
But basically, what we're coming to here is we have a character that we have 2 unique forms of fighting that are not represented in Smash. Quadruped that's also a mounted unit versus samurai with potential stance changes. That's the big argument that we have here. This is what is causing so much trouble. These 2 characters could have easily have been in the finals themselves. It's just an unfortunate matchup that they're both here in round 1 against each other.
It is quite unfortunate. I guess maybe one last hope that I have for Takamaru is that him being in Smash would engage the audience in a way that would drive up interest for his series to be revived in a way similar to Uprising.
True.
So
we still haven't gotten that Ice Climbers revival that people talk about.
No, but that could easily
a lot harder than Kid Icarus. But Takamaru has a better chance of it than Ice Climbers too. He wouldn't have an on-rail shooter like Kid Icarus is, but they could definitely do something with him, 100%.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Even just a more action-oriented platformer, or more like a medieval maybe, or a Jack and Daxter, or whatever have you, or just more of a actiony samurai Zelda experience. Who knows? Maybe they go, There you go. Or maybe they go the way Zelda used to be with the linear set and go that way with Murasame, and then keep Zelda going open air. Yeah, there's a few options, I guess.
Anyways, we had to settle this character dispute.
I know we do. I know we do. I know we do. It's hard. It's hard to say though because we have two different ideas on what we prefer, and we cannot defer to the audience,
We cannot.
and we also
The
have
only
to
thing
move
that we
on.
can do is either one of us can give up or we can flip a coin.
Okay. 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 Flipping a coin uh, is not a bad idea.
Okay. Initially, when we were first talking about this idea, I was very anti flip a coin, but for round one, I'm kind of okay with it because one, we need to get this fucking thing going. But for like semifinals, finals, we cannot rely on the coin. I think we need to agree on
Okay.
that right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Agreed.
In that case, are we committed to flipping a coin between Midna and Takamaru? Because I have one ready.
Sure.
All right. Who is heads? Who is tails?
We will go heads, Midnight, tails, Takamaru.
Okay. And I'm also going to say on this that we will only do flip coins if we are both saying that we both like the idea of each character. We just can't pick one over the other and convince the other person of that same one. Like if
Right.
it was Toad versus Takamaru, and I was for some reason arguing Toad, then we could not do this because that's fucking stupid. Spoiler alert. Fuck Toad. All right, flipping. You said heads for Midna, right? Heads for Midna?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, on the floor. It is a head.
Ah, man.
That is heads for Midna, so Midna moves on. Takamaru would have been great to have as well. And would be, actually. I would
Yep.
say would be.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right.
Okay.
Matchup number 5. Let's try and get through this one faster. Scorpion from Mortal Kombat versus Decidueye from Pokemon Sun and Moon. All right,
Why
so
do I?
all right, give us your brief rundown.
Man, why?
Because Brandon
Okay,
said
let's.
so.
Yeah. Okay. Scorpion, easily a character that could have fallen into the never gonna happen kind of idea for our last Smashtopia. You have this very gruesome M-rated title and the character who represents that franchise. This is the first kind of mainstream experience in gaming where you had characters ripping each other's spines out and burning each other alive. It's kind of a gruesome ordeal. So there's that. That kind of factors into the interest. Scorpion is also kind of a villain, kind of an anti-hero depending on the game. So there's interest in that area as well. And just being able to teleport around, catching people on fire, using all sorts of different types of fighting moves that you wouldn't necessarily see in any other fighting game. And having a censored fatality for a final smash. All interesting. Decidueye, the character we should have gotten from Sun and Moon in Smash. Screw and
Here.
Centaur. Come on. Uh-huh. Seriously. A flying ninja owl versus fiery frosted flakes. I mean, come on. Come on. But that hill that we're going to die on aside, Decidueye also brings a lot of interesting things to the table, just being a grass evolution, ghost evolution, and having all of the abilities of a arrow shooting owl on its side. So there's that. Et tu Lister.
So yeah, pretty same thing you said there. Scorpion, he's pretty practically a demon. He can rip off his mask and have a skull underneath it and just breathe hellacious flames, burning other things up,
Basically, Ghost Rider,
teleporting
but
through lava pools or whatever the hell he's doing there. Decidueye, he's Robin Hood as a Pokemon. Enough
yeah,
said. He's an owl, so
yeah,
he can be doing talon attacks. He fires off wing arrows from his wings. Or I guess I meant like feather arrows from his wings, but what the hell ever. He's Grass Coast type, which is incredibly interesting to see as a starter Pokemon. Never thought we'd see a Pokemon get Ghost as a secondary typing as it evolves. That's fucking new. And as you said, like when it came to Smash Bros. Ultimate discussion, people thought, oh, we're probably going to get Decidueye. That was the main discussion on Pokemon that we saw. There was some people saying Incineroar. There was me saying Tapu Koko. but Decidueye was the majority, I would say. I think a lot of people still would like to see him. It's just most of us have kind of realized, okay, we've gotten into Center, we're not going to get Decidueye. But
Yeah, and
that doesn't matter
there's
because this is what we want.
yeah, exactly. The consolation of having Decidueye and Pokken isn't really that great either because Pokken sucks. So,
So,
so
I already have my lean between the two of these. I think it's a fairly easy decision for me. The other
I
one
can,
is possible, but I definitely have a lean.
as do I.
All right, who's
So
yours?
let's get her done. Scorpion.
Fucking really, really? I'm going to Decidueye. Oh my god! Come on.
Let's do this quickly. What appeals to you more?
He's a fucking archer owl. What more do you have to say?
I don't know. Demon pools of lava stuff. Interest. I really thought you were gonna go Scorpion. Part of
No.
my decision was just like, oh, Lister's gonna choose Scorpion. Okay. This is easy. This is something that I can just relent on because I don't really care that much, and I wanted to Decidueye quite a bit. So let's just go to Decidueye and carry this on.
All right, the Decidueye is matchup number 6. This one's gonna hurt for me. It's Shantae of Shantae and the Savvy Stylist of Style Savvy. Oh no.
What a horrible matchup for you.
Yeah. So Shantae won our indie matchup against Shovel Knight so long ago. She's got the dancing hips. She can transform into elephants and spiders and harpies and a monkey
Sounds a
and
lot like me.
I think a mermaid. I don't remember. She's got various transformations as well as her magic. She's got pirate gear that she can use. Overall, a very cool character. Apparently, some people are saying she sucks, but listen, you guys are wrong. Let me just state that right now. Anyways, then we also have Savvy Stylist, which is a bit of an odd dream of mine. It's a fashion girl who runs a fashion store, and she, I would assume, in Smash could whack people with purses and clothes racks, and I don't know what else, but goddamn, I'd love to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Savvy Stylist was something that was not even on my radar, even with the iconic song whose name I can't remember right now in Ultimate, until you started gushing about it because of that song. It's like, hey, the stylist can be playable in here, and I would imagine that various fashions come into play in the moveset. She could slide a clothes rack across the stage as a dash attack or something. There's certainly liberties here that you can take with this character being more of an avatar of the franchise, of a fairly popular kind of sleeper franchise from Nintendo as well. Just hitting that young girls market, not quite like a lot of others can. Interesting character. Definitely one of those things like Takamaru, like Mach Rider, whoever, like, hey, here's a character that's not too much of a formulated character, and even less so being an avatar for you. But the appeal kind of lies in like the diver on Smashtopia Wiki. Like, here's something you just never think of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, Shantae, of course, comes from a more established series and in a vital indie title that could plausibly be. I think at one point that glass ceiling will be broken and an indie character will be playable in Smash because since the 2010s, indies have just become this massive thing. Nintendo has really adopted them and even has that whole Nindies brand for their indie showcases. And Shantae is a part of it. Like Shantae is a spirit in Smash Brothers already, so there is a
Yep.
precedent for acknowledging her from Sakurai from his team.
I think
Shovel Knight as well.
I think Shantae,
Yep.
Shovel Knight, and Commander Video are the only indies to have any kind of presence in Smash. Oh, I'm sorry,
They.
Cuphead.
Oh yeah,
Forgot
Cuphead
about
too.
Cuphead and Sans. But they were added as DLC to Ultimate. I was seeing base game in previous titles.
Right, right. Shovel Knight, so far that assist trophy rule hasn't been broken, and he might be kind of screwed. But as far as Shantae goes, there's still some instance where she could be an ultimate thanks to Midman. Um, I don't think that even with the pain that it's going to inflict on you, I think that you probably have your initial thought and initial vote as well as
I do.
I.
I do.
Okay, hopefully this one's a little smoother than the last few.
Help. So
Yeah,
my
yeah.
lead on this one, I'm going with Shantae. I feel While Savage Stylist would be really cool and whacked out, I think Shantae would just be magical, to put it in a word.
I concur. Thank God.
Thank God.
And if you said savvy stylist, I was going to use your argument against you.
Oh,
Just be like,
the character thing?
yeah,
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 fair. That'd be fair.
yep. So Shantae moves on.
Yep.
Good job.
So, matchup number 7. It's two ladies. It's Edelgard versus Ashley. Fire Emblem and WarioWare. So, give us your opening discussion here, because
Because you already have your vote.
well, not necessarily. I have
Um,
a lean, but we'll see where it goes.
I have a lean as well. We will see where it goes. I have a feeling, but we shall see. Beginning with Ashley, she was introduced in WarioWare Touched on the Nintendo DS. I believe it was near the launch, so it was probably a 2004, 2005 title. That was the first WarioWare game I played. So it was kind of cool seeing this, like e- pop punk emo kind of stuff was in at the time when Ashley was introduced. Uh, Sabrina-ish stuff. Like she comes from that area of pop culture, I feel like, with the song and the aesthetic of her character.
She's the coolest
Very,
girl
very
you'll ever
charming
meet.
and interesting. With that, yeah, with that slight little edge. So I can understand why she's become probably the fan favorite of the WarioWare characters, of course, besides Wario. Um, and that is extended to the assist trophy representation over characters that are probably more prominent to the WarioWare lore, as funny as it is to say lore and WarioWare together. Um, because like Mona's a more prominent character story wise, Jimmy T, whatever. But here we have Ashley coming to the top, kind of in a Min Min like situation, speaking of Min Min. Um, so, and of course, and she always has her micro games you can lean back on. She has various characters, like Red, I would imagine, could kind of be like a Popo and Nana situation, maybe. Uh, and then just like her talking book, various things that she can bring to life using her whacked out potions. Um, yeah, so like there's a plant that I remember, like a piranha plant kind of thing. And other than that, just dark magic. And we're kind of devoid of dark magic users in Smash.
Yeah, we got
You have
Ganondorf,
Robin.
and that's it. Oh, and Robin. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
Robin with Nosferatu, which he couldn't even use in Awakening. So there's that.
Tharia taught him.
Uh,
It's fine.
yeah, I'm sure Tharia taught him a lot of things.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, probably not actually. Robin was always creeped out by her. Um, unless US supported her. Getting off that tangent, which is a little bit strange. Edelgard, I mean, come on. She handily won versus Dimitri and Claude when we had Kelly on our show for that Smasher Dash, which I was actually a little bit surprised in. But because, each character brings their own thing. You have a primarily bow-based user, which is a little bit difficult for me to totally ascertain, but then you have a Lancer and a Axe user, basically, both of which are very lucrative to the Fire Emblem franchise and kind of changing the stigma it has in Smash by showing what the weapon triangle is and representing the series properly. And both being greatly written characters as well. Like, say what you will about Edelgard, love her or hate her, the fact that you love her or hate her because of story actions show that she is a well written character.
She's very polarizing.
Right, right. And that's what's captivating about her, besides, the whole axe thing, commanding sorties thing. So, but they both have their merits, and I'm disappointed that Byleth got in over Claude Dimitri or Edelgard. That's a side rant. So, yeah, how about you?
So, starting with Edelgard here. Edelgard is definitely my favorite of the three lords from Three Houses. I
Oh yeah,
championed
hands
her before we even got Byleth, before we knew Fire Emblem was going to get another character in Smash. Then when we got Byleth, we've talked that one out enough. I feel like so I'm going to try and ignore that a little
down.
bit.
Yeah.
But she would be very cool to have as another axe fighter. Technically, how much different is an axe really going to be from a sword in terms of Smash? Fair point. It's a very fair question here. But I think there's ways that you can make it work. Like she could be slower on her attacks and whatnot. She's not going to be as nimble as a warrior as Marth. She's definitely not going to fight like the Marth conglomeration that they have going on there. Meanwhile, there's Ashley, who is going to be magical. She's a little girl. She's somehow a prodigy, but she fucks up sometimes with like the giant plant was not what was supposed to happen. She's like, that's when she goes, "Oh no, not again!" in the song. So there's
Oh
always
yeah.
that. We have Red the Demon, which is also her broom, so that's kind of fun. Like if he was tagging along with her in Smash, you actually see him transform into the broom that she could use, whether she's going up to the side or whatever it may be. Where this one kind of makes it difficult for me is when we did the Edelgard, Dimitri, and Claude battle. That was before Byleth got into Smash, and then we got Byleth in Smash, and he pretty much they're trying to combine all three of the Lords plus Byleth all into one character is what it feels like, and it honestly kind of makes my excitement for Edelgard lower, which is a shame. But that's kind of where I stand.
Interesting, because there's still so much built-in bias for me towards Edelgard as a character that I love.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely near the very top brass of Fire Emblem for me in terms of lores, in terms of characters in general. And Fire Emblem is a very big franchise for me personally, so it would be difficult to vote against her. Although I do think that Ashley comes in from what is now kind of a more unique place. So I get, and like, yeah.
Yeah.
Still, there's still a precedent, like in Cineroars and Smash, but you still obviously have enough of a
True.
penchant
True.
for
True.
Decidueye. Yeah.
I think the
So
difference
and,
between
and
Edelgard and Decidueye for me is that Byleth takes up some of Edelgard's property as well, and Cineroar doesn't take anything from Decidueye.
that is true. That's true too.
That doesn't mean we can't have Edelgard. It doesn't mean that we can't someday look at Byleth and be like, oh, maybe we can make it different, kind of like what we did for Toon Link. I think that's something that we could
That could
potentially
be on
do
the table.
someday. It might be a little
Yeah.
bit difficult, but I mean, it's something we can think about. And I mean, hey, Kelly made his own Byleth that's completely different from what we got in Smash too. So he doesn't use Edelgard's Aimer. So you never
That
know.
is better than what we got in Smash for Byleth.
In my opinion, yes, it is.
Yeah, me too. But never. Yeah. Anyway, that's a totally different subject, as you said. Um, yeah, Byleth does take a little bit of Edelgard's gusto away. I do still think that there's enough that could be established with her character that would be different. Just the idea of having her stand beside Byleth. I mean, even though I do love Edelgard, having two characters from three houses in general, even though we have Lucina, Chrom, and Robin kind of inexplicably. So let me get that out of the way. Having three awakened characters in Smash also doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah.
So,
When it was just Robin and one Echo being Lucina, I was like, okay, sure, fine. She's an important character to the game. Then when we got Chrom, was like, fucking what? No. You don't need
yeah.
Chrom and Lucina. Fuck off.
Yeah, you don't need Chrom and Lucina, and I'm thinking, do we need Edelgard and Byleth? Especially when Byleth takes some away from her. And especially more than do we need Ashley from a series that you could say is maybe underrepresented by one character at this point.
Fair.
Um, so against all reason, or at least general appearances, I'm gonna go with Ashley here.
I'm also going with Ashley here. As much as I would love to see Edelgard right now, I don't really feel like I need to have her in Smash. Before Violet got out, I would have said Edelgard. If Violet was not in, I would have done that. But as things
Absolutely.
stand right now, like we're not looking at this as we're building a new Smash roster. We're looking at who gets added in addition. And right now, I'd rather see
Yeah.
Ash be added in addition to Wario than Edelgard in addition to Byleth. So there's that.
Actually breaking down that AT law and bringing in Waluigi with her. Yep. Good day.
Hey, let's do that.
Yep.
All right, so next, the last matchup for the first round. Thank fucking God, we're finally here. Toad versus Black Shadow. Potentially the two weakest characters in the entire Tournament of Champions.
What a lucky matchup for one
Wow.
of them.
This is interesting. So, my thought process here: we got Toad, who is honestly the last of like the so-called Big Eight Mario characters that has not been playable in Smash as of yet. The others being Mario, Peach, Luigi, Donkey Kong, Bowser, Wario, Yoshi, Yeah, those are the other 7. I forgot. I thought I was missing something. I was like, oh right, Toad is number 8. But honestly, as much as I think Toad should get into Smash at some point, I honestly, he's a harder one to come up with stuff for. We can easily make a moveset for him. I know I've thought of that before. I'm pretty sure you have too. But he's not as easy as some of the others. And to
Mhm.
some degree, I can understand him just being in Peach's dress. I get it. He's one of her
Yeah.
retainers, so sure, whatever. Black Shadow, meanwhile, would most likely just be an echo of Captain Falcon and potentially would just take the majority of the Endor's moveset upon himself. Beyond that, I really don't have much to say about Black Shadow other than he hates Captain Falcon and he's a villain. I don't have anything else to say about him or Toad. Except he forgot his bazooka at home. Oh no.
Didn't you make a Black Shadow moveset on the Smashtopia
It
wiki
was
that?
the very first thing I put on the Smashtopia wiki was my Black Shadow moveset, yes. Wait, no. Is that true? It was either Black Shadow or Inkling. I think it was Inkling. I think Inkling was the first character I made, and then I made Black Shadow after Inkling, and then it was Dixie Kong.
Interesting. So I'm looking here, and he's basically a
He,
semi-clone or pseudo-clone of Captain Falcon,
yep,
as
absolutely.
you.
That's how I intentionally went into that moveset designing him to be that way.
Yeah, but even then, Shadow Dash and Bull Charge, like it's kind of funny when he uses his horns to ram an opponent instead of kicking forward
Yeah.
with the Falcon kick. That's a good old time. And then Toad, obviously, I think brings more to the table in terms of moveset potential and is a more iconic character than Black Shadow. So if we're not approaching this in terms of, hey, there's Ganondorf and we want him to be different, so let's just insert Black Shadow, as is often a Smash Brothers argument from our fan base and community.
And us.
Um, I would probably go Toad here just because there's more to do with him potentially, like tossing in the Mushroom House somehow, maybe as a final smash, doing Mario Party stuff with him. I don't know, but the potential's there. And Black Shadow just kind of writes himself.
Alright. I was actually leaning Black Shadow, but I'm happy to go with Toad here.
Either which way. I mean, unless you wanted to explain your lean on Black Shadow to see if you can change me.
My lean on Black Shadow is pretty much just the fact that I think seeing him be in Smash and fighting would be more interesting. F Zero has had one rep since the very first Smash for this game, and even though he would be a semi-clone Echo side of the situation, I just think seeing Black Shadow finally get in as the second F Zero rep would just be amazing to see. Meanwhile, Toad is another Mario character and not even like in the top, probably not even in the top 5 of Mario characters I would like to see added.
Let's see. Let me think here. Waluigi, uh, Gino, if you're including him, Paper Mario, Wart, King Boo. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Toad isn't in my top 5. Um, so yeah, just two very weak link characters could go either way. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I'm still kind of feeling Toad. Want to just do a coin flip since it's
No,
first round?
I'm fine
Last
with it
thing.
being Toad. I'm fine saying Toad.
Okay, fine. Okay, Toad it is.
All right, so after an hour and 20 minutes, we finished round 1.
Yeah,
Let's get through the rest of this. Luckily, now that we're into round 2, every character and what their potentials and histories has already been discussed, so we don't need to rehash all of that this time around.
yeah,
So this should
yeah.
go faster. We technically gone through 8 of the out of the 15 matchups we're going to have today. So
Yeah,
that's nice.
yeah.
So
Not bad.
yeah. So moving on to round 2, our first matchup is going to be between Zero and Marshall.
Fuck.
Fuck. Yeah. So as we discussed, Zero is would be a second Mega Man character, but would be from the Mega Man X side of the franchise compared to the classic version. He's a robot. He's got a sword. He's got all kinds of different weapons and elemental attacks. Marshall would be all about rhythm and pulling from various mini games across Rhythm Heaven, most likely. And it only makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Slappy Gene. What a matchup this is.
Mm-hmm.
So, although honestly, I already know who I'm voting for. Do you?
I know what my lean is, and I'm pretty sure I know what your lean is.
Yes. Is the question. Yeah. So my lean, as you would imagine, is Marshall, and that's just coming from the idea of representing a pretty at this point compared to other franchises, relatively popular franchise for Nintendo, and just with the sneaky spirit and I almost call it Smash or Dash, but Smash Run. And just the mystique of having Rhythm Heaven in the game with the chords, kids conversations all the time really warmed me up towards the idea. And then just having that rhythm-based idea, which I think can be inputted into Smash, haven't quite figured it out yet, but I think that we could.
Yeah.
Just building up like attack power with fighting to the rhythm or something, and just having the charm of Rhythm Heaven inserted into the mini game specials and whatever. That's interesting to me. Although there's obviously an argument for Zero too, with all of the very strong variety of things that he can do.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
so as you said, your lean is Marshall, and that's I'm assuming where your vote is going. My lean when I look at these two characters is, well, I don't play music or rhythm games, so I naturally just don't. I didn't even know Rhythm Heaven was a thing until the leaks were coming out saying we're going to get Chorus Kids in Smash 4 from the old Gamatsu leaks. Like, I didn't even know it existed. No, I've never on my radar. I'd heard of the Elite Beat Agents. I've heard of those guys. I've never heard of Rhythm Heaven. Not once. But Zero, love you some Mega Man. And Zero is where my lean would be between the two of these. However, when it comes to two characters that I think would both be really good to have, like these two, and we have Zero as there is the whole third party thing there, where I did say I was going to try and ignore that, but it's always going to be in the back of the head. But between the two of these, well, I would love to see Zero. Me personally, I would say I want Zero in more than Marshall. I think Marshall would be incredibly cool to have and would be arguably more unique than Zero would be. And I'm down to put Zero through to the next round. Or not Zero. I'm down to put Marshall through to the next round.
I'm also down to put Marshall through to the next round. Um, Zero, though, great character. I wouldn't have any qualms against him. But yeah, my official vote is Marshall.
All right. In that case, let's get on to the second match of round 2, which is going to be Spider-Man versus Midna. So
Every time he comes up, it's just funny.
yeah, I know, right? I mean, he would honestly work so well, and he'd fit in super easily, especially compared to like Superman, who would be boring.
Yeah.
So between these, we've got our web slinging acrobatic Spider-Man versus our mounted wolf warrior Midna. Between the two of these, we discussed a lot of Midna and Spider-Man already. I don't think like we need to really hash over much of the same stuff between the two of them. While I do think Spider-Man would be super cool, I'm leaning Midna on this one.
Bitter defeat versus Takamaru, I'm actually leaning Midna as well. I actually think that just in my personal mindset that she would just be a more interesting character to play as. Not necessarily to have, because Spider-Man being in Smash is just obscene,
Yeah.
but to play as. So yeah, I can get behind that.
Okay. I mean, if Spider-Man wasn't Smash, though, he would dominate the air game so fucking hard. He'd be a top tier character. Let's be honest.
Out.
Okay, next matchup of round 2, we got Decidueye and Shantae.
Ooh, buddy bear. This is going to be harder for you than for me.
Honestly, no, it's not.
Oh, okay.
I can look at just about any pairing of characters ever and just pick who I would rather see.
Yeah.
Just about.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, go ahead and cover the two of these to start off with.
Okay, so as we already established, Decidueye is basically the fan choice for Smash Ultimate, and we were all sort of jaded when Incineroar was included. The idea of still having Decidueye in would be awesome, nevertheless. Shantae, a very prominent indie title, been around since 2000, I think, and always supported Nintendo ever since the onset of the Game Boy Color. Great character, platformer, where she can transform into a variety of different animals, and that alone is pretty interesting, and I'm sure that you would be getting her dancing in there somewhere as well. So overall, a pretty interesting genie to include. Certainly better than Rudy the Clown. So, yeah, that's kind of that. You got a bird archer with some ghost in them, and you got a genie that transforms into animals to kind of dilute it to the very essence.
half genie, mind you, half genie.
Yeah, half genie. Yeah, exactly. What's the
So
other half? Like coconut?
no, yes, actually, it is coconut. How did the fuck did you know that?
I don't know.
Wow, it's like you actually did your research for once.
Yep.
Oh. So yeah, Decidueye and Shantae, we got cool, badass archer owl. That's also Robin Hood and has talons, which is be fucking funny to see somebody kick you with. And then Shantae, the dancing half genie hero, turns into animals, has magic, has piratey gear. Always fun times. Between the two of them, again, both would be awesome to have. But I do know who I would rather see more between the two of them. Do you know who you would rather see?
Oh,
Jonno?
you want me to tell you?
Yes.
Yeah. Shake those hips, baby.
Alright, so you're voting Shantae then?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So am I. Decidueye could be cool, but let's Shantae being turned into animals and having all the other gear that she has, she just has so much more potential there and can do some really cool looking stuff.
I want to be Shantae.
No, you don't.
Oh, okay.
Alright, so last matchup of round two, we're back to Ashley and Toad. Ashley, our dark sorceress extraordinaire, except she somehow screws up with plants and she has a little imp as her best friend. And Toad, who is Toad? I don't have anything more to say.
How long did this round take compared to the first?
A lot quicker because we didn't go into the bullshit of their histories and what they can do.
Yeah. Yeah. So Toad first debuted and no, just kidding. Um as if I would know that off the top of my head anyway when I don't do research.
Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah. When was it released though?
Our
1982?
princess is in the castle, 1983.
1983. See, I wouldn't have known. Okay. So here this is just come on, right? Ashley makes the kid into mincemeat. And that's just kind of where I stand.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh,
How about you?
also, 1985, not 1983. I was thinking of the original Mario Brothers. But
Oh
yeah,
crap. Okay.
obviously Ashley dominates Toad here. Not in that way, but it's he just doesn't have as much that he can do. That would be really cool off the top of our heads compared to Ashley. And let's get WarioWare another rep.
Agreed. Agreed.
All right, so we're down.
Toad is part of a franchise where, there's a lot of real estate to cover that other characters cover more interestingly. Anyway.
Yeah. So, anyways, we're now into the semifinals. We only got 4 characters left out of our initial 16. Let's see how these last few matchups go. We've only got 3 more to discuss, but these could get difficult.
Yeah.
No more coin flips as of the semifinals.
Okay.
Marshall versus Midna. Are you crying?
Yeah.
Have you devolved into madness?
Yeah, a long time ago.
So we once again have our rhythm warrior of Marshall versus our mounted wolf warrior of Midna. Both will be incredibly unique. They will both bring so much new to Smash that either or would be amazing to have. Like, these are both top tier choices, honestly.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. I concur. And their names both start with M's.
They do.
And they both have the same number of consonants in their names. And
No, they don't. MDN for Midna and MRSHL for Marshall.
Interest.
Fucking idiot. Now, they do have the same amount of vowels.
They do have the same amount of vowels, and they have the same number of letters in their names as well.
No.
They're both Nintendo characters. They're both first-party Nintendo characters.
Is Marshall first party?
Yeah.
I thought he was second.
Oh, I actually thought that they were first party. I thought that EAD made them or something. So let me just go check really quick.
I mean, it's
Gonna
not
hop onto the
in terms of discussion, but go ahead and buy yourself some time there.
Nevertheless, Nintendo SPD1. So whatever the hell that is, they're first party.
Yeah, that's definitely first party. It's one of their internal development teams for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So, cheers to that, Marshall, and then Midna, of course. My argument here, I guess, kind of stands that they're both wildly unique fighters. So it's that comes down to preference. Where we stand on a little bit more even turf is just Midna is adding another character to an existing franchise, and admittedly one that needs it. Like them renovating the Zelda character style was cool, but not all of what we would have preferred for Zelda in Ultimate. Um, Marshall, meanwhile, again, a prominent enough first party series with a interesting modern outlook for Nintendo. Could use a new game on the Switch, but for the most part, it's still fresh enough in people's minds.
I'd say so.
So you just representing an underloved franchise and an unrepresented franchise in the first party scape. Both great character choices. Oofy doofy. This is hard.
Where I'm kind of looking to these here is something I think about with Midna is okay. Here's a character that they're probably gonna be a little bit of rush down to their game mechanics, but also the fact that let's look at the Zelda franchise and its representation in Smash. So we get Link in Smash 64. In Melee, we get Zelda, Gandorf, and Young Link. That's a lot. Awesome. Cool. Brawl. We lose Young Link, we get Toon Link. Really not much of a change there. Smash 4, no change. Ultimate, we get back Young Link. That's it. Cool. We haven't had a single new Smash newcomer, arguably since Melee. So that's why, like, I'm super disappointed. You just give me somebody from Zelda, please. Give me someone, damn it, Sakurai. Come on.
Beetle.
Toon Link replacing Young Link does not count. It does not. And even if you want to count it, that's still no new Zelda character since Brawl. That's still several games back. Also, when I look at Marshal, well, you're right, it would be another new game to be added to Smash, and it's always cool to see new franchises be represented. Splatoon is the only, not counting DLC, but just looking at the base game, Splatoon is the only Nintendo IP to be introduced to Smash with a new fighter in Ultimate. What's something that's always that kind of hurts me with Rhythm Heaven, and I still think Marshall would be great, is I'm also having to think about how they are going to fight in Smash. And sometimes you see a character and just like, oh man, I really want Mega Man to be in Smash. I love Mega Man. I really want to see Duck Hunt be in Smash. I love Duck Hunt. And they get out of the game and just like, oh, I don't like how they play. I'm not very good with them. I'm glad you're here, but I suck as you, so I don't really care about you in the game. I feel like I would kind of be the same way with Marshall. I don't think I would be very good with the style of gameplay that you would most likely require. Having to be careful with your button inputs and following a rhythmic pattern. I can't just go crazy and run at you and just start hitting you with attacks like I can with Bowser or Ike or Mario or whoever the hell else. I think that's part of why I don't lean as hard on Marshall compared to some of the other characters. Like, I'll rather see Zero or Ganon. I can envision how they'd fight, and I would enjoy how they fight more than I would enjoy playing as Marshall.
Yeah, fair point on your behalf. Absolutely. Midna would be an interesting character that plays differently from other characters while not being as complicated. For me, that was a character like Shulk with all of his different buffs is just a little bit beyond me for the most part.
Agreed.
Um,
Like, I like the idea of
but
Shulk. I like the idea of how he works, but I cannot play him very well.
yeah, seriously. Me either. And with some time and elbow grease maybe, but I just don't have it. So
Yeah.
um, So, I don't know. I think the easiest way to translate Marshall and the Rhythm Heaven idea into Smash Brothers is to either have different special moves where you play to different rhythms through the moves, or you just go for a universal rhythm that you can use any move towards to build up momentum and make them stronger, which would probably be easier said than done. But easier translatable to standard moves, maybe, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you hit out in that pattern for your standard jabs and you accumulate more damage than if you broke the rhythm. So that's kind of, I don't know, it's as always something to work out, maybe even in a full Smashtopia episode one day. But that's kind of how I see it, just kind of as an initial thing, just to get it out there into the stratosphere.
Mm-hmm.
um I do like the idea. And given I'm perusing Smash Bros. Just right now, user named First Blade, so a Soul Calibur fan, posted Marshal's character to Smashboards as a kind of like a campaign to get interest drummed up for the character, as they do. They have different clubs on there, as you know. Um, so just we have the criterion. We fit trainer, Mr. Game and Watch offbeat characters in Smash that work well for what they are. What I like about Marshall beyond the rhythm idea is just the idea of having various mini games from Rhythm Heaven represented. So we're talking about Karate Joe. You can have Karate Man because that's just some punches and kicks translated into Marshall's new, like standard attack or some of his tilts or whatever. You can have him pull out drumsticks and drum those forward and marching order or whatever. Uh, Apparently, there's soccer balls and flipper rolls, and so he's a fairly aerobic character as well. Um, yeah, I don't know. Without trying to push too long on the subject, there's just a lot of different things you can pull from with Marshall, and I kind of like the idea of having that all-around character, which I feel like he would be similar to, with doable gimmick, which I feel a universal rhythm would generally be. Uh, that pulls together all sorts of stuff because we don't get that a whole lot. We get it with Game and Watch and not too much else, and I love Game and Watch. So that's the appeal to that character for me is having that sort of charm where it kind of appeals to the same, I don't know, cortex in your mind. Midna, meanwhile, comes from a very good game in the Zelda franchise, and again, represents something different moveset wise. Uh, yeah, and Zelda needs it
It
at
needs
this
it.
point. Yeah. So do we need? I guess the urgency. I guess it's like, do we more urgently need another Zelda character, another Rhythm Heaven? I think that you can. That's even ground for Midna to argue from. Just because it's more pressing since Zelda is one of the big three franchises, and of the big three, it's the only one being neglected at this point.
Horrifically so.
So that's yeah, seriously. So what we got?
After Brawl not having any new, well, I mean, we got Diddy Kong for Donkey Kong, but even then, it felt like Donkey Kong was still lagging behind, and Smash Bros. We still had nothing. And finally, we got King K. Rool. It's like, oh god, finally, Donkey Kong feels good again. Okay, now can we get Dixie in the next game? Look,
Yeah,
some series some series get a lot. Like Pokemon is always getting something, which no surprise there. But there are some series like Donkey Kong and Zelda and arguably Xenoblade at this point need another character.
agreed. Agreed. There could easily be a world where, like Fire Emblem, they're maybe overrepresented or just overrepresented in a certain way, but we haven't reached that point yet. So maybe one day we will, because that's a better problem to have, I think.
I mean, I would say in a certain way they're kind of represented where four characters fight the same way. But if you
Yeah,
just changed out those characters, I think Fire Emblem would be better.
I agree. I agree. Uh, Geez.
It's not that they're overrepresented; it's that
Uh,
they're represented poorly.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, yeah. So those are kind of the arguments for these characters. I don't know what much else to say other than making our vote. Huh.
I
Let's
agree.
see.
I have my vote. I mean, it's tough here. I mean, we're in the semifinals. We're the top four characters. Of course, it's going to be hard at this point. But I
Mm.
do know who out of these two who I would rather see added to Smash. Looking at who they are, their games, what they would bring to Smash, both in terms of franchise and who they are and how they would fight. Also, just like enjoyment in using them.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I get you there, big brother.
All right. Well,
And you want me to say mine first or something?
if you want to, I have mine as well.
Okay, let's just kind of errantly throw them out there and just get it done with.
So
Uh,
Midna.
yeah, absolutely, Marshall. That's right.
I was afraid of that.
Yeah, I know. I know. Um, I don't know. The idea of Marshall. I don't know how much more I can explain to get across the appeal to me.
You don't. I
Um,
understand the appeal. That you don't have to get anything across. That's the
yeah,
thing.
and
But
same thing with
it just comes down
Midna.
to who I would rather see, and I would rather
Yeah.
like a lot of it's just like I'm not a rhythm guy. I'm not a music guy. I don't give a fuck about music. Period.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
Midna, another Zelda character, an awesome Zelda character, fighting on top of a wolf. It's like fuck yes, this is hitting so many cool tick boxes. Let's fucking go. Also, I can rush down and chase
Yeah.
people with Midna on a wolf, and dude, imagine being on a wolf chasing Jigglypuff, dude, or seeing Ridley run away. Oh my god. No, we don't have time for Jigglypuff song. No, stop. Jonno, we do not have time for nonsense.
We fit it in right in the very end.
No.
Okay. Okay.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Yeah. 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 I guess outside of the rhythm aspect, as you know, your not giving a fuck about rhythm or music is equally met by my giving a fuck about it. Um, Besides that point, I guess just the multifarious nature of Marshall is also what appeals to me. So, at one point he is drumming across with a drum line kind of thing. Another point he's singing out, or he's connecting to somebody with a heart that's above his head, or just doing all sort or doing karate, building robots, throwing flip flops, boarding on kind of a air based snowboard, jumping on a trampoline. Yeah. All sorts of little weird things like that. The quirk of the character and the potential to draw from all those different mini games. It's just a vibrant idea. It's a fun idea. Um, then that's why I'm kind of drawn to him. Although, again, Midna, good stuff too. But this is just the crossroads we're at now, right? Because we're talking about two characters that are evenly matched in almost every respect, and so it really does come down to nitpicking various biases to just kind of see who relents first.
Yeah, I mean it really is.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't know. It's hard for me because I love Zelda. I mean, I love Zelda more than I love Rhythm Heaven, but I'm also very interested in the type of character Marshall is. So that's kind of where I am at. Who's our other matchup again? Just for the sake of me
The other
remembering,
matchup is Shantae versus Ashley.
that
And
will
we have
also be
15 minutes to get through these last three matchups.
okay, okay, okay. Shantae. Um, yeah, I don't know what to tell you.
Do we want to quickly divert to Shantae and Ashley and then come back to Marshall
Sure,
Midna? Okay.
sure, we can do that.
So let's
We can
quickly
do
get
that.
through this. We've got our shape shifting genie again versus the witch of WarioWare, the witch of Diamond City, if you will.
Hmm.
Between the two of them, we have an indie, we have a potential second WarioWare rep. Both are kind of similar to the fact that they are female heroines. Is Ashley a heroine? I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know about that. But with two females that are inclined towards magic and both would be pretty damn cool. They both have their fan bases, that's for sure. Between the two of them, I'm drawn more towards Shantae, but I think Ashley would be really cool as well.
yeah, yeah. I choose Ashley.
Really?
No, just kidding.
Oh,
I'm on board with you with Shantae.
I
Just for the sake of the animal transformations, um, and just the fact that she's representing an indie title, that also appeals to me a lot.
okay. I
Yeah,
thought
I
you were
mean,
when you said Ashley. I thought you were actually seriously going with Ashley. There, I was like, oh, huh. I
not just
all
threw
right.
you for a loop, but I mean, I like Ashley, but yeah, I would rather Shantae, honestly.
Okay. Well, in that case, Shantae moves on to the finals, and we're back to debating Marshall Midna. Didn't
This is
didn't
about
get
as
much time
effective
there.
as presidential debates. Um,
Oof.
yeah, I hear that Marshall will bring us universal health care without raising taxes.
I hear that he's going to force everybody to join in a sing along every other Friday.
You know, Midna might do the same thing just because she knows you'd hate it.
Hmm.
There is that too. So we have Shantae locked in for the finals.
Yes.
We have, and then either Marshall or Midna will be going up against her. Also going to be a formidable fight. I am still. See, the problem is that I think we're both still harping on our individual trains here. And we've already said so much about these characters and why we have the stances that we have
Mm-hmm.
that we're just kind of stuck in limbo.
We kind of are. I'm honestly not sure how to resolve this. Because, like you obviously you're a huge Rhythm Heaven fan. You're also a huge Zelda fan. I have had no contact with Rhythm Heaven, and admittedly minimal with Zelda. But I know Midna as a character. I know how she acts. I know how she fights. Marshall, he's the Game and Watch. He's the Game and
Yeah,
Watch. He's
yeah,
also kind of a little bit of Wii Fit Trainer. They're all three of them are kind of like in that same similar vein in terms of like how they would
right,
move and
right.
act. But the sticking point to me is I look at how they would fight. And Marshall, yeah, sure, you can try and just run towards characters with him and just hit them how you want. But if you don't follow the rhythm gimmick of him, you're not going to be able to do much. And that just makes a character that I'm never going to enjoy playing as. Just like I can't enjoy playing as Duck Hunt, even though I want to enjoy playing Duck Hunt so bad.
You know what? I have found a way that we can stimmy this and move on to the finals.
What's that?
It is that you're having a difficult time wrapping your head around Marshall. Meanwhile, I am fully aware of how both Marshall and Midna could generally play, and they would both bring something unique. And you're right that I love both franchises. Um, if Marshall were going against Shantae, it might be a wash and Shantae would win because we would reach the same debacle in the final round. Midna is at least somebody we can both argue for, and Shantae is someone we could both argue for. So since we're both fans of Midna, whereas you're having trouble with Marshall, why don't we just move on with Midna against Shantae?
You sure?
I mean, I'm as sure as I'll ever be, which is about 55% of the way sure.
That's
But
true.
yeah, if we do not do it, and you are not like, can we establish it? You are not the person who would ever relent. So I just feel like I
That's
should, so that
not
way we can move
true.
on.
I relented on Black Shadow.
Yeah, that was a difficult one to relent.
But in all honesty, Marshall would be cool to have. He really would. But I'm just like between the two of these, if I can only have one of these in Smash, I know Midna more than I know Marshall. I'm gonna vote
Yeah,
for Midna. That's just how
yeah,
that goes.
yeah, yeah. Now, in a general circumstance where we're not fighting for time, maybe we would just sing Kumbaya and it would be a campfire for 2 hours before we come up with a decision.
We would
But in
eventually
this,
pull Jake into a call and be like, "All right, Jake, listen. Here's the thing."
that would be pretty insane.
And if
That would
anybody's
be,
wondering, like, well, why didn't you guys just get a guest for this one so you didn't have these kind of awful ties? Look at the time we're taking just the two of us talking about these characters. Adding a third person, this is a 3 hour podcast. No, we
yeah,
can't do it.
we're almost at the 2 hour mark at this point.
Yeah, we are. We're
Um,
close.
which I mean is okay. We can go a little bit over, but nonetheless, just as a general rule of thumb, we want to make this easily listenable for other people.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's. How do you want to go about this?
How do I want to
It's
go about
just.
what? Midna and Marshall?
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah,
Or,
yeah.
or were you talking about something else?
Oh no, just this. Like I know your vote is Midna, So let's see. If I maintain my vote as Marshal and we got a tiebreaker in here within 10 seconds, that would be kind of crazy. So let me just hold on just a brief second here.
Okay.
And let me see.
Are you messaging Jake?
I don't know, should I?
I mean, you act like you're stalling. So I'm just like, are you messaging somebody here asking for a tiebreaker vote?
I might be.
God damn it.
Hold on a second. If they don't answer in 1 minute, we're just gonna move on.
Okay, so we bullshit for 1 minute?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So, um, so I mean, okay. So honestly, here, like Marshall, Midna, we keep just harping with the same things here, but they would both be, they both hit two different kinds of areas of things. So we have Marshall. You know, it's a new franchise. It's something new. Honestly, I don't think Marshall or Rhythm Heaven were like on the vast majority of Smash fans' radars until the Gamatsu leak happened. Once that part happened, everybody was just like, "What's this? What is this game?" Okay, Rhythm. That'd be pretty cool. Like people in the past have discussed potential Rhythm reps with like the elite beat agents, but there wasn't really much with them. I don't think most people thought because all they did was sing. They didn't really move around. Sure, you could have them like, oh, the three of them can run around in a group. They can hit people with their microphone, but there wasn't really a whole lot with that. You messaged multiple people. What? You're just
Trying to
waiting
get a reaction.
You're trying to get like the first person to respond, aren't you now? And neither one of them appear to be online, so that's a thing. Okay, well,
I know.
that's
What a
fine.
pain. What a
But
pain. Hold on.
Rhythm
Yeah.
Heaven is people have kind of solidified around that as our potential rhythm-based game. Oh my god, you messaged another person. Holy shit! This is live nonsense going on right now. Jonno has messaged Jake, Trevor, and Eric, who have all previously appeared on the Supercast for this podcast, asking for their help in breaking this tie. None of them. Oh wait. Oh, Trevor has seen the message. Trevor's the only one who has seen the message. So we might actually have a decision made here. Midna kind of falls under the style of like she's the Navi-based character we've had in Zelda ever since Ocarina of Time. Uh, Compared to Navi, everybody's just like, oh my god, Midna is so much of a character. And then we got Fee, who was super annoying. He's like, Master, your Wiimote battery is running low. You should change the batteries. Fuck off. Seriously, Fee. Fuck off. I don't. Is that Trevor's vote? He.
No.
All right, Trevor's vote is in. We
Trevor,
have.
this is why we've fallen apart as friends. You son of a gun dookie head.
Oh no! So the answer we've gotten back from Trevor here, we've asked him who should be added to Smash, Marshall or Midna. Trevor's response was, "Didn't I write a Midna submission referring to way back on our Mercurios days?" And he says, "Oh, I did. So I got to go with her." And Jonno responds with, "Fuck, Lister's your best friend now." Sorry, Trevor. I guess Jonno has abandoned you. But hey, maybe one day I'll play Earthbound and we can actually be real friends. So I guess that means Midna is moving on. We got to quickly decide between Midna and Shantae. Oh dear God, please let this be a quickly decide. We've got our magic little imp on a wolf. We've got our magic half genie, belly dancing, animal transforming, half piratey nautical nonsense. I have a lean. Actually, I have a vote.
I also have a vote.
Cool. Are they going to be the same?
Are they going to be the same? I
Are
don't know. Who
they?
knows? I hope so. I hope so.
Should we go
So,
on 3?
Sure.
All right.
Okay.
So these are both great characters. Let's see. Both of them have spirits in Smash. Neither one of them's an assist trophy. One of them's not. I am going for 3, 2, 1.
Shantae.
Midna.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you.
What is the attraction? I'm surprised. I'm surprised because Shantae was something that you would more so champion than I.
I mean, Shantae would be really cool and awesome to have a Smash. There's absolutely nothing false about that statement. But again, well, and they're both great characters as well. But I'm looking at how they would fight in Smash, and I'm looking at enjoyment levels of them each. And I think Midna would be a lot more fun to be able to play as. Shantae would be fun, but I think Midna
Sure,
would
sure.
just be more fun.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. There's a benefit there. Shantae, there's a more nebulous concept because you have so many transformations that you have to take into account. Like, is she going to turn into the harpy, the monkey, the what? You know, so
Yeah,
there's not everything is going to make it in. So it's a little more difficult to ascertain. I think that my primary, I'm coming at this from basically three separate angles. Number one, having a transformation character has kind of fallen out of style since Brawl, and it would be cool to have that kind of back into play. Number two, it's an indie. I am a big champion of indie titles. I like that Nintendo has been championing them because that wasn't always the case with Nintendo.
yeah.
Um, and so it would be a big door unlocked for that to happen. And thirdly, Midna keeps jacking my shit. Beating Takamaru, beating Marshall. I mean, at
Beating
this point, I'm
Spider
just
Man.
salty. That was easier. But
I mean, honestly, that's part of why I've gotten really huge on Midna over these probably really since Hyrule Warriors, and she got added to that game, and I could see how she could fight on her own and not just with Link running around and her helping out and whatnot. Seeing her actually getting to fight in that game again, with a wolf, but still, that was really cool to me. I was like, oh my gosh, she would actually be really cool to have. Like people talked about her getting to Smash in the Brawl days, and yeah, sure, she was up there for me, but Hyrule Warriors is what really showed me this is what she can do.
yeah,
Shantae, yeah,
Hyrule Warriors
she
did that for a lot of characters,
it did.
luckily.
It even gave ideas for how Fee could be playable, or Fi, however the hell you say her name. Stupid fucking sword lady.
Full thumb, yeah.
But Shantae would also be pretty cool. As you mentioned, she's indie, she would break open that door. There's very few doors left in terms of Smash characters getting in that hasn't been broken down already. The indie door and the assist trophy door are pretty much the only two left. I mean, you could
Hmm.
argue, I guess, also characters that have no Nintendo presence. Those ones, that's also a huge door that hasn't been broken down
Like
yet.
if Kratos somehow appeared,
Or Master
or
Chief.
uh, or Master Chief, yeah,
Yeah,
or four parties.
yeah. That's a different door. That's not a video game door, but yeah, it's still a door. Um,
Hmm.
and again, she's also magic. She can transform. Her transformations wouldn't be like moveset changing, like Pokemon Trainer or Zelda Sheik. I mean, more like, oh, for her side special, she turns into an elephant and charges forward. Oh, for her up, she turns into a harpy and flies up in the air. That's what her
Nice.
transformations would be about. Well, it's not going to change her whole moveset. It's more just elements of it, which Smash is
So
missing.
yeah.
So
It's
Smash
a
is
much better
missing.
take on that kind of thing.
It's funny. A
Yep.
lot of the characters that we discuss here in this tournament of champions, the archetype of fighter that they would be, Smash is missing that archetype. Mach Rider, Marshal, uh, Midna, Takamaru,
Takamaru,
arguably Scorpion,
Spider-Man.
Shantae, Edelgard,
Hmm.
Ashley, technically in a way. A lot of these kinds of characters are just not playable yet, which has made some of this discussion difficult.
Hmm.
We're just like, oh, Smash doesn't have this, but Smash doesn't have that either. And that's the case with both Marshall and Midna, and with Midna and Shantae. Go fucking figure.
Yeah. Luckily, though, this is the final round, so if we do not wish to argue much more and we're kind of at a stalemate, there is the option to turn it into a tiebreaker for the audience.
True, we could.
We could. We can try to settle it here. I don't know how we would, however.
Well, let's think of it this way. Let's give ourselves a few minutes here to hash this out before we close things off and we put it to the viewers. Shantae, Transformer, Pirate Gear, Magic,
More than meets the eye.
becomes animals. Midna, Imp, Twilight Princess, literally, and origin wise. Rides on a wolf, quadruped fighter, and mounted unit. Doesn't wield a weapon, but still a mounted unit. Can
Yeah.
teleport. Shantae, don't know if she can teleport, but she can turn into animals and fly around. So, more or less.
Hmm.
Both strong female characters, and honestly, I would say gaming history. They may not be a
Yeah.
Lara Croft, but they're still strong female characters.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
Either or would be great to have in Smash. One is a new Zelda rep, one is an indie rep. I don't really know that there's much to say else about either of them. How are you feeling about the two of them?
At this point, with all of our different conversational points exhausted, I'm just kind of thinking, in the sense of really just trying to throw them into Ultimate in my mind
Mm-hmm.
and watching it from the inception. Like, say, a Nintendo Direct appears, the Smash Brothers emblem appears, and we're in the middle of a trailer. What would be more personally exciting to me?
Okay.
So I'm trying to view it from that standpoint now, and just taking away all of the other fuzz and diluting it to that as a fan of Smash. Um, so just picturing that all coming together, what would I be more excited for? Yeah, I think I have a vote. I'm not going to say if it's necessarily revised, but it does frame things in a different perception when I think of it that way. Like, oh, there's a trailer. Oh, excitement amongst our friends in the chat room or whatever. Um, interesting, interesting. The mind's eye has spoken.
Okay. I've
Yeah,
tried and think about things in a similar way. Like I try to imagine how they're fighting and how I would be playing as them. As I've mentioned before with Marshall and Duck Hunt and whatnot, it's like yeah, and like Scorpion to Decidueye, both of them I can kind of imagine how they would fight, and I would probably enjoy playing as both of them. Scorpion I think would be more like running towards people. This is probably a little bit more keep away, but between these two characters, uh, well, one of them honestly I have a little bit of a harder time imagining how they would fight than the other, but I still think they would still be a great fighter. I think they'd both be fun to use and play as. Whether or not one is more complicated than the other, they both have their own complications. But I have my vote too when I think about how they're fighting in the game, and also trailer wise, I was thinking about that a little bit. I was also trying to think about like one of them I couldn't think of the music they would have. The other one was like, oh yeah, they've got some great ass music that could come with them. Oh god, Shantae has fucking amazing music. Let's be real here. I don't care about music, but video game soundtracks are a different rule for me. Shantae has great
oh yeah,
music. That is
oh
just
yeah.
true. So does Splatoon, and so does Fall Guys. If you haven't played Fall Guys, what are you doing? Damn that game, man.
Nice. Zelda. Yeah, I mean Zelda would probably be like the remix of Midna's Lament or something like that.
Yeah, probably.
Um, yeah. So let's say our final votes, and if we have to leave it up to the viewers, we'll leave it up to the viewers.
All right, I agree to that.
Alrighty. Alrighty. So, what are you thinking?
I'm leaning the character that I feel like I would looking at them in Smash, watching them in Smash, playing as them in Smash. The character that I think I would have more fun using and would love to use against other people and going through their classic mode with. I would love to kick some ass with Midna.
It's a viable choice. And so the question is, do I let that be or move towards Shantae because they're both viable options? Shantae, as you said, has great music. That is undeniable. That could be part of it if you wanted to. And it's very difficult. So when I was going through just thinking about the trailer and stuff, it's like, crap. If I do that, they both would have great trailers. So this is difficult too.
Yep.
But you know what? I have come to a decision. And at the end of it all, after all of the intense discussion and the salt on my wounds with what Midna has done to me and my friends Marshall and Takamaru.
Hey, you remember that poll we
Uh,
had in our Discord group of what Smash category we wanted? And Amaterasu was beating all of my favorites.
yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, I remember my salt there. was still salty.
Yeah. So in the end,
I don't think I ever voted for
I
Amaterasu.
no, in the end, I actually vote Midna.
Oh, I wasn't sure what you would do.
Yeah. Neither would I. I mean, if it were an indie game that I were more personally invested in, if this were by some means Hollow Knight or something, I would probably go for the Knight. But in this case, it's just more easy to imagine. And I do love Midna, and I do love Twilight Princess, and I love the idea of a primarily bipedal fighter, um,
Quadrupedal.
and a mountain fighter. Yeah, quadrupedal. Yeah, bipedal. There's a lot of that, isn't there?
Yes.
Unipedal would be interesting. Uniracer in Smash next. So, interesting result. Nothing I could have said I would have expected coming into this.
Yeah, I mean, it was really kind of impossible to tell how this was going to go. I knew we were going to have some ties because that's just baked into this whole thing. I knew we were going to have some tough conversations about all the characters. And us having exhausted some of what we can talk about with them is also not much of a surprise. But I'm glad that we've finally come to the end of this. We've picked a winning character, and maybe in 7 years from now, we'll be sitting down for the ultimate tournament of champions, where the 8 winners of the first 8 tournament of champions go head to head, and we slowly cry and decide to just say no, and we end the podcast before that ever happens. Because oh my god, can you imagine?
That'll be the moment we quit.
Yep.
Simultaneously. But by all means, though, the point that this was pointed conversation, I feel, because we've gone through all of these matchups already in prior episodes. We came in here more prepared. It was more of a fluid episode in terms of the content that we were bringing to the table. It was a good way to finish up the last year, and I think that people will, who are interested in the subject anyway, of course, will be invested in how we were invested in this discussion. So it was a nice way to cap off the first year.
It'll be very interesting to see as well if people will be like, "Oh yeah, I agree with this result," or "What the hell? You guys eliminated Savvy Stylist round one. What are you doing?"
They're going to be
Sorry.
like, "What? What? You eliminated Takamaru and Marshal? I agree with Jonno, and I am salty as well."
Honestly, if Takamaru had beaten Midna, I would have argued for Takamaru past Spider-Man and past Marshall. I don't know if I'd have argued that versus Shantae or not. Probably, honestly, yeah, I probably would have voted Takamaru all the way to the end at that point. Those two are just still both extremely great character choices. I would have loved to have seen those two of them in the finals.
Oh yeah, me too. Me too. Takamaru versus Marshall would have been difficult. I think I would have gone Takamaru as well. It just goes to show that uh, it's just kind of how the game goes sometimes. You randomize things, and this is what you get.
Yep.
So, yeah, until next time, we're going to hit you with year two, season two, whatever you want to call it, and we are going to diversify ourselves with the first episode. This September, our on topic is going to focus on something not necessarily totally related to Smash for once.
Oh.
No, we're gonna talk about Pokemon. Our memories playing Pokemon, watching Pokemon, being Pokemon. Out of Smash, Pokemon Memories will be coming to you soon to kick off our second year. And until then, I guess, well, thanks for listening, and it's been a pleasure in the end. It's been interesting doing this with you, and I'm excited for the next set of several episodes that we're going to be doing.
All right. Well, everybody, year one, season one, whatever you want to call it, is done. Next time around, gonna be some Pokemon.
Maybe Chucky Finster will make the move to year two.
I hope not.